Uh, Welcome to our virtual spiritual Saturday. This is Pastor David here, and we're going to continue on the promise, pictorial biography of His Eminence Tsem Rinpoche. So, while waiting let me refresh my screen first and see who is on. And if you have any questions about the previous sessions, please let me know. So far, we have covered the earlier sections on Rinpoche's incarnation. We have also covered the earlier part of Rinpoche's childhood, and let me see. So if you have any questions, I can see myself now. That's cool. Let me click on myself. So far, nobody. Hi, good morning, Yusing. Hello, Nancy, welcome. Welcome to our virtual spiritual Saturday. We're going to continue on the promise. This time I'll read a little bit more, and in case I forget certain details, and if you have anything to ask me, please feel free. No problem at all. I will be watching the screen, all right? And okay, we have covered the Rinpoche's incarnation, his birth. I didn't go into every single incarnation, but just a particular few in the earlier sessions. And I've also covered Rinpoche's birth, his early childhood, all the way to him being in New Jersey and when he ran away from home and he went to Los Angeles. That's where I basically stopped. My last session, I spoke about Rinpoche running away 3 times. Actually, I made a mistake. It was 4 times. This is covered in the book. Let me see. So, as usual, what I like to do is I like to not read and tell you what happened. What I like to do is I like to talk about the meaning of the event and its significance and how does it apply or compare to our own experience. All right. Okay, I see a lot more people. Hi, good morning, Pastor Shin, Sharon Ong. Yes. This time we are in an enclosed room, so the audio will be better. Mr. Lam, hi. Julia, good morning. Pastor Lance, Iman, Karen Wong, good morning. And of course, Waying. Hi, King Hoi, long time no see. Hi, Yin Ping, good morning. Okay, I won't say hi to every single person, sorry. Don't know, because if not, I'll be going, the whole session will be hi, good morning to every single person. So I've reached the point of Rinpoche trekking across the United States to Los Angeles. So here we go. In Los Angeles, it's interesting. Remember I was talking about Rinpoche's childhood and the artwork that he drew as a child, this Buddha. This one is not, this is later Rinpoche did. Buddha paper pendants, and then the actual pendants that Rinpoche did later on. So it's interesting because whatever Rinpoche did in his childhood extends all the way to today, or rather to his adulthood. And it's manifested in basically the various departments of Kechara. Okay, meeting the Buddha. This is very significant that I didn't mention. Okay, this is when Rinpoche actually, before he ran away from home, Rinpoche had received teachings from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. It's on the 8 verses. It says here, on the 8 verses of thought transformation, And Rinpoche spoke of his experience and how it had affected him. And also he received the oral transmission of Om Mani Padme Hum. And Rinpoche talks of his experience that time. And also I didn't mention that Rinpoche had, at 14, Rinpoche received the Vajrayana initiation. And along with it, all the trials and tribulations. You see, when we were at that age, 14 years old, what were we doing? Just recall, when we were 14 years old, okay, when I was 14 years old, that's what, Form 2, I think. Yeah, I was in secondary school. Because in Malaysia, we follow the British system, so it's secondary school. I think if it's America, it's called high school. And it was just studying, and I wasn't very much interested in religion or spirituality per se. And if my parents said no, I would follow and not go through with it with regards to anything that they would not allow. But because Rinpoche had, in order to receive Vajrayana, Rinpoche had to go through a lot of problems. It's not very long, so I'll read it. The first initiation. It's on page 104. Just listen to this. Finally, after years of conscientious work around the house, Rinpoche did a lot of housework. Rinpoche earned the grudging permission of his parents to receive Vajrayana's initiation from Khenso Rinpoche Losang Tachin. Khenso Rinpoche was Rinpoche's first teacher. Even after his parents had agreed to it, he lived in constant trepidation, constant fear, throughout the months leading up to the initiation, fearing that they would change their minds as they had before. On the first day of the Vajrayana initiation, Rinpoche saw the back of the temple door open. It was his father. His heart sank in anticipation of the worst. Fortunately, Boris just came in, watched the proceedings for a while, and left. That night, when Rinpoche went home, his father tried to provoke him and put him down by passing comments about how there were so many weird people in the temple that afternoon. Wisely, Rinpoche just kept quiet. He was allowed to go to the temple the next day and receive the full Vajrayana initiation from Khenso Rinpoche Losang Tachin, one of the greatest Vajrayana masters who has since passed away. Khenso Rinpoche Losang Tachin himself received this most sacred and rare initiation to Vajrayana practice from the renowned Buddhist master, His Holiness Chijang Rinpoche, widely known as the Guru of all Gurus. His Holiness Chijang Rinpoche in turn received this practice from his Guru, His Holiness Pabongka Rinpoche, one of the most famous teachers in Tibet. Pabongka Rinpoche was widely believed to be an emanation of Heruka Vajrayana. Many accomplished practitioners had reported seeing in his place spontaneous visions of beautiful red ladies who would, within the blink of an eye, transform back into Pabongka Rinpoche. So this short section on page 104 of the Promise talks about Rinpoche's experience, how, although it's very brief, how Rinpoche had to go through a lot in order to receive Vajrayana initiation. And during Vajrayana initiation, what happened is Rinpoche's father came. And usually when things like that happen, like in the middle of a teaching, sometimes the parents would drag him back and he wouldn't be able to receive the full teachings. But in this case, he received his first initiation on Vajrayana. Okay, so that was very significant. And I've got a little comment here. Hi, Wei Ting. Hi, Jaswin. Mr. Lam says, wandering in secondary school and carefree, laugh out loud. Yeah, I think most of us, we were in secondary school at 14 years old, early secondary school, Form 2, I think, 12, 14 years old. For people who are, in Malaysia, it's called Form 2, high school in America. And probably about boys, girls, sports, school, homework, studies, TV, these days computer games. In the lockdown right now, definitely computer games and movies and TV. maybe a little bit of exercise. So, so what happened is, yeah, so our life is pretty much simple, ordinary, and we wouldn't do anything extraordinary for most of us, in a sense that we won't challenge the status quo, and our parents are pretty liberal. I think these days most parents are, they will let the kids at that age do pretty much whatever they want. Of course, they're within limits So, but when it comes to higher thoughts like spirituality and religion, perhaps not many parents would be, or rather not many kids would be interested in it or want to pursue it further, like the way an incarnate Lama like Rinpoche would. So Rinpoche would go for initiation. He understood the significance, the importance of receiving initiation, doing the practice. And Rinpoche, in another part of the biography, spoke about how when he first saw Vajrayogini, he had this intense interest in Vajrayogini, and he somehow knew that it was a powerful practice, and definitely it was imprints from a previous life. For us, probably it was just when I first saw Vajrayogini, I was like, oh, looks nice, looks interesting, because she looks very different from other Buddhas. I didn't particularly found her powerful or have a particular strong connection with Vajrayogini. For me, it was deities with many hands, like Heruka, like Kalachakra, like Yamantaka, many hands, fierce, on fire. Oh, so powerful, so, But then that is now, with me being in my, when I met the Dharma with Rinpoche, I met him in my 20s, so it's different. I'm not like 14 years old. I don't know if I met Rinpoche when I was 14, would I have been different? Perhaps I wouldn't have been as stable or interested in Dharma as I would have been, That's what I think. Okay, Mr. Lam, you have another question here. Question: where is the current incarnation of His Holiness Pabongka Rinpoche teaching? The current incarnation of Pabongka Rinpoche is in basically shuttling between. He's based in China and Nepal. Okay, he goes back and forth, and he is pretty much like his previous life. He has a group of students. He is in contact with the High Lamas like Trijang Rinpoche, as far as I know. And he's teaching, but he's not the type that the type of lama that goes and give public teachings, as far as I know, and he's pretty much private. Okay, so that's that part of the biography. Actually, I want to fast forward all this, to let me see. The journey, page 122, fourth attempt. The fourth attempt, Rinpoche ran away from home, and he was successful, and he made it to Los Angeles. I won't go into the details. While he was in Los Angeles, he stayed with his cousin for a while. I think his name is Bob. Yes, and during that time, he had to enroll himself in a school to get his GED. It's kind of like a cert, like SPM, something like that. So when you have your SPM, in Malaysia it's called SPM, and over there is, I think it's called GED. So that the reason why he needs to get that is so that he can work, and he can, what do you call it? Make ends meet, to have a livelihood, to have a job. Because I think right now, even in Malaysia, the very least you have is a SPM for most jobs, the very least qualification. So something like that in America, similar. So he got it, and he have his cert, and then he had to move out, and he found a place somewhere along in Los Angeles. I think it was, I went there, Santa Monica. I have the road, but the name doesn't come to me. Yeah, so where I am right now is Rinpoche in America. So okay, let's not go into details. You can read the details. What I would like to bring to attention is, even at that age, as a young man in his late teens, what happened was Rinpoche, unlike many of us, you see, Rinpoche, when he first came to Malaysia, he was pretty much surprised, in a sense that in Malaysia, very different from the West. I think in most Asian countries, it's pretty similar to Malaysia, where many kids, when they receive their degree and then they go out to look for a job, they still remain at home. For Rinpoche and for most people in the West, what happened is, what they do is, when you turn 16, as early as 16, or sometimes 18, sometimes in the 20s, what happened is you have to leave home. It's a social norm, meaning it's expected of young adults in the West, where you have to go out and live on your own. You have to survive on your own. It's a bit embarrassing if you still. There are people who still live with their parents, even in their 20s and 30s and so forth, but it's small. And it is not as socially accepted in the West as it is in the East. In the East, everybody stays at home, and because you be with a family, and so there was this difference that Rinpoche noticed, and this is so for Rinpoche, when he left home, and that time I think he was 17. What happened was he left home and he went to Los Angeles, and then he got his certification in order to get to work. And one of the first things he did was, for us, we find a place, then we settle down, then we get to know people, we get a job, and then we get to know the surrounding area, and that's about it. So for Rinpoche, what was important for him was a Dharma center. And so what happened was he went to look for it. For us, maybe we do that, maybe, So where Rinpoche went to was, interestingly, he went to a university. And I saw it just now. I flipped through, and sorry, my memory is not very working today. And he met a professor of Oriental Studies, Leo Prudent, and because the place looked like a temple when he entered. So when he went in, and he asked for the teacher, and he said, "Oh, there's no teachers here, but if you want to, this is not a Dharma center. Excuse me, if you want, I will recommend you a place." So he was recommended to Thubten Darjeeling. Thubten Darjeeling, or TDL, became Rinpoche's center for a number of years after. And when he was brought to the center, Rinpoche has a wonderful recollection of this, because the moment he entered the center, it was a house. And the moment he entered the living room, and he was just transported to a different place, because it had a very Tibetan feel. There was the altars, the tankas. Typical of Tibetan temples. They're not Zen, Their shrines are very busy, a lot of statues, tankas, silks, color, thrones, puja tables, ritual items, offerings, abundant. So when you go, it has a feel, So it's a very rich, warm feeling. So when he entered, and he saw the Lama on the throne, and there was a light shining through from the window, and he said, I will never forget. And the way Rinpoche described it was very warm. And the moment he entered and he saw the Lama, he felt he was in the presence of a great master. So he had faith welled up in him. So I don't know about you or me. My experience when I first saw Rinpoche wasn't like that. Rinpoche was a friend initially for me. It was different. So the moment when I met Rinpoche, I didn't have immediate sense of faith in Rinpoche, but I was impressed by how Rinpoche looks. He was good looking. And then later on by his explanation of the Dharma, and I related to what he spoke. So it's different, you know. Maybe for some of you, you may have not met Rinpoche personally. You probably were impressed with Rinpoche through the YouTube videos, through Rinpoche's blog, and the Dharma was impressed with you through these avenues. Whatever your ways of meeting the Lama, it does not matter. Most important is the connection that you feel towards the teachings, that you feel that it relates to you. Rinpoche said you don't have to sit down in front of him and go through a whole ceremony or refuge ceremony, then you are his student. It comes from you and from your heart. When you apply the teachings, then the teacher teaching it becomes your teacher. Okay? So there's Yap Zi Ing. Oh, hi. Hi, good morning. Welcome. So what happened is Rinpoche had to work three jobs, as it says on page 137, and to support himself. And eventually he moved into TDL, into the center itself, into a room. And he was so happy because before that he had to travel quite far. You see, I think most of the viewers are from Malaysia and within the Klang Valley. So wherever you go in KL, it's about, if traffic is okay, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. In America, in Los Angeles, is huge. I remember when I had to travel from one point to another, it took me a long time. I remember like sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on traffic. And it was on a freeway. Freeway is American version of a highway, where, it's just the term they use, freeway. So it's 6 lanes, and cars go really fast. And still it takes such a long time, So for Rinpoche, that time when he didn't have a car, and so it was difficult for him to get to the center. So what happened was he managed to, and they had rooms. So his teacher arranged for Rinpoche to stay there at a subsidized rate, at a cheaper rate, so Rinpoche could afford, and so he could serve his teachers. Well, Geshe Chotim Gelsen. I'm trying to pronounce the way Rinpoche pronounced it. Rinpoche pronounces it Chum Gelsen. He says it very fast. So, but actually it's Geshe Chotim Gelsen. Okay? So that is Rinpoche's second teacher. And the moment he saw the teacher, you know what Rinpoche did? He picked up a phone. He went to a pay phone. That time there was no handphone, so it's a pay phone, meaning you put the coins in, and then you dial the number. So he dialed back to his previous teacher, Geshe Losam Tachin, and he asked for permission to take on another teacher. Yes, that's what Rinpoche did. So he called his teacher to make sure it's okay. And when Khenso Rinpoche heard the name, he said, "Oh, you're so lucky to have met this master. He is a great master. Please treat him the way you have treated. You have served me, not treated, served me. Okay, so you have my full permission." So Khenso Rinpoche was very happy. And Rinpoche was very happy that he was able to continue on his practice in Los Angeles as a young man in a big city, So what happened was at that time Rinpoche already was in his late teens. So you imagine all the and living in a big city on his own, and Rinpoche was all alone. He had to move out on his own. He had to stay with friends. Then he moved into the center, and as a young man, it was at the same time it was liberating, it was exciting. At the same time, it was scary, because unlike you or me, he didn't have his parents were not happy with him because he ran away. His foster parents, that is, and he had no relatives in Los Angeles except the cousin who eventually their relations became a little strained. And so he didn't live with his cousin anymore, and then he left. That's where he moved out on his own. And he had basically nobody. So I think for most people, they wouldn't fully understand this, what it feels like as a young man to be totally by yourself, alone. Because Rinpoche tried to express it many times, and I didn't fully understood it until what it feels like, until, when right now, okay, let's not go into me, but where you have no parents, no relatives, just friends, casual friends he made in Los Angeles, and the feeling of loneliness, insecurity as a young man, and he had to basically work 3 jobs, and it was basically hand to mouth because Los Angeles is not cheap. Okay, the cost of living is very high. I can't give you a comparison right now because I'm not familiar with the numbers, but Rinpoche said it's not cheap. It's difficult. That's why he had to work 3 jobs in order to support himself. And the main purpose of why he had to work 3 jobs is so that he could work at the center, he could live at the center, serve his teacher, and help in the center. Meaning, when there's teachings, to prepare the cushions, to clean the offerings, to make offerings, to clean the altar, and he did all that as a young man. So for a lot of us, in comparison, would we have done something similar? Would we have been the type to make that kind of sacrifice, to earn less so that you can do more Dharma? Because for most of us, is the other way around. Not that there's anything wrong about that. It's because we have our bills and our families to take care of. So for Rinpoche, he was all by himself, and he would rather serve his teachers, and that was the sacrifice he did. And Rinpoche never said this as sacrifice. He never used that word. I use that word because I'm comparing myself and how it would have been a sacrifice. And I'm sure for a lot of us, if we did the same thing, it would have been a sacrifice. But Rinpoche never saw it as a sacrifice. He never told it the way I'm telling you now, as in, oh, I sacrificed so much. He just said, as a matter of fact, he just said, I had to work 3 jobs. It was scary for me because I was all alone. This is America. Rinpoche said crime rate is extremely high. It's very different that time, and especially when he ran away from his home in New Jersey to Los Angeles. It's scary because there are lots of kids who run away from home, and a lot, and many of them don't make it. They get killed. They get raped. Boy, girl, doesn't matter. You get raped and you get killed. Many people, many young kids are lost. Because when I was in America, I followed Rinpoche for a short 6 months, as much as my visa could provide. And then I was in America with Rinpoche, and Rinpoche showed me. We went to Walmart. Walmart is something like our Tesco, Tesco here, and what's the other one? Greenway. Giant. The hypermarket is kind of like a hypermarket. So when I went there, and Rinpoche showed us on a notice board, there are like 2 to 3 dozen, about 30 over pictures, of little children's faces missing. So it says if you see this kid, please contact this number. 30 over pictures. He said that's what it's like, and this is today. This is just like 4, 5, 6 years ago. That time when Rinpoche was, during the time, Rinpoche's time was around the early 80s. It was just as bad. So this was the reality that Rinpoche had to live, being in Los Angeles, fending for himself, making ends meet. Practicing the Dharma. And at the same time, this is Los Angeles. Los Angeles is, as if you're familiar with America, it is Hollywood. It is it's the place of of stars, of movies, of people want to be actors, and there's also opportunities. There's also danger. There's so much. Okay, so anything significant. So Rinpoche went for teachings with Geshe La. By the way, Geshe, let me explain a little thing about Geshe, because I did not mention the term Geshe, because Rinpoche, when we refer to Rinpoche, we don't refer to Rinpoche as Geshe. Geshe is actually a title, not a name. It's like teacher. It's a special type of teacher, because Geshe is actually a title given to a teacher who had completed his full monastic studies. So in the monastery, in the Tibetan setting, what happened is it's like a university. So there's a whole curriculum of studies that you go through, and then there are levels. I'm not so familiar right now offhand, but when you reach to a position of Geshe is when you reach a doctorate. An equivalent in secular studies will be a doctorate degree. So once you've gotten it, then you get your, either you are called Dr. whatever, Dr. David, or Dr. Joseph, Dr. Weiming, Dr. Martin. So what happened is, so when you finish your studies, you're awarded the degree, which is called a Geshe. Geshe is actually a contraction of a Tibetan phrase, literally means spiritual friend. I repeat, that phrase, I cannot remember for the life of me, Genyen Shin something. So when you contract it, it becomes Geshe. And the term literally means spiritual friend. So when the monk have finished the studies, then they will be called Geshe La, Geshe Churum Gyaltsen, for example. Geshe Yeshe, Geshe Lang, and so forth. Whatever the lama's, the monk's name is, then you just call him Geshe, out of respect for his education. And many of the Geshes, what they do is they continue on their studies, or some of them they enter into retreat. So with what they've learned, so they start to apply it. They apply the meditations and the contemplations with what they've learned, and then they gain high attainments. Some choose the route of teaching, to express to apply with their teachings to benefit the next generation of students. So Rinpoche's teacher is one of them like that. Okay, second teacher, Geshe Chultim Gyaltsen. All right. So, this is nice. Let me see if I have I don't know if you can see here in the picture very well. It's a picture of Rinpoche's altar. It looks like a Tibetan temple, actually. There's tankas, there's pictures, there's a little Buddha statue in the middle, and a lot of pictures of his gurus, and lots of offerings in front, candles, and cups of water offerings. So what happened is, it's very nice, a very warm picture, because it showed one of Rinpoche's passion, which is to have a shrine, to make offerings. And for Rinpoche, that's something that's a lifelong passion, because he's always had natural devotion towards a Buddha image. And he feels it's not just a graven image, it's not just an artwork, it is something, an embodiment of an enlightened mind. So for him, making offerings is very natural. And this is a testament to it. Okay, so it's very nice from Rinpoche's. So if you have any questions, let me know. I don't see any questions, but I see Datuk May. Welcome. Welcome to my session of Virtual Spiritual Saturday. We'll continue on with Rinpoche's biography, The Promise. Rinpoche working 3 jobs, the difficulty he had. You see, one of the jobs that Rinpoche worked at was photomat, and the only picture that we have is this. And the photomat is a kiosk in a parking lot. What's a kiosk? Is like a little booth, and then what people do is they drive by and then they pass in the negatives and then they pay and then they collect the pictures later on another day. So what happened is, this is Los Angeles, so crime is rampant, and so Rinpoche had been robbed a number of times in the chaos. And then he meets all sorts of characters being in America, from prostitutes to people, for robbers and street people. So Rinpoche met a lot of different type of people through the jobs he was working at. And some of the people he tried to bring to Dharma. Even at that age, it was amazing and Rinpoche was somewhat successful with some of his friends. Probably some of them not. But I'm sure with Rinpoche's intent, he would have planted seeds. Okay, and I've mentioned the phrase planting seeds before, and let me rehash it a little bit, so in case you did not hear my previous explanation. What does planting seeds mean? Planting seeds is not farming, although it sounds like it. Planting seeds is actually about planting imprints. Sometimes many people do not have connection with the Dharma. But you can plant the possibility of them getting connected to Dharma in the future by for them to recite a prayer, showing them a picture of a Buddha image, and just looking at the Buddha image plant seeds in their mind. Okay, so the seeds are actually potential for them to practice the Dharma in the future. Because the power of the Buddha is such that when you just look at his image, whether it's a line drawing, even when you're not focusing, when you have no devotion, even when you're in a state of anger, it is said in the text, even when you're angry and you look at the Buddha image, seeds of enlightenment will be planted in you. This is the power of a Buddha image. So that's why I'm talking about planting seeds. That was what I mean. All right? So then, this is interesting. Let me see how long it is, this section. This is interesting because this is about Rinpoche and Hollywood. It's not very long, it's just one page. So I'll read it out because it's nice. As a tall, good-looking 18-year-old Asian boy, Rinpoche attracted attention wherever he went. You have no idea. Because of his exotic looks, he was often even solicited on the streets for adult movies. So Rinpoche has to quickly learn how to avoid these types of situations. At TDL, Thupten Darjeeling, his Dharma center, Rinpoche once received a message from Paramount Studios. They were producing a Tibetan-themed movie and were looking for someone who was well-versed in the customs and traditions of Tibetan Buddhism. The studio had heard about a Mongolian boy in LA who was very familiar with Tibetan altars. The agent who called was a lady named Joyce. She asked if Rinpoche would be interested in going to the studio for an interview and to assist in the stage setting of altars. The message had been left on an answering machine in Geshe-la's apartment, and a nun, who was Geshe-la's secretary, told Rinpoche about the message. Excited, Rinpoche asked her for Joyce's contact number. Smiling, she replied that she had erased the message by accident. Rinpoche asked if she could rewind the message and try again, and the nun, still smiling, said again that the message was definitely gone. Rinpoche asked her to ensure that she wrote the number down the next time Joyce called. The nun happily agreed. Joyce called back the next day, but when the nun told Rinpoche the news, she said apologetically, sorry, I erased the message again. The next day, the studio called one final time. This time, the nun wrote down the number and then lost the piece of paper it was written on. A while later, when Rinpoche was working as a secretary for realtors, he received a call from an agent of a TV station who was looking for a Mongolian speaker of a voice-over talent. At the studio, Rinpoche met with an agent, a very attractive lady named Joyce Baker. She looked very professional and even carried a briefcase. Upon meeting him, she exclaimed, "Oh my God, did you get a call from Paramount from a lady named Joyce a while back? It was me. Why didn't you return my call?" Rinpoche said, "I tried, but the lady who received the messages kept losing the number. What movie was it for?" "It was for The Golden Child. I needed you to work on a set to set up the altar for a scene with a lama. How did you hear about me? I called a few Dharma centers and they told me about you. She was not upset that he did not call her back, but she kept repeating, you should have called, you should have called. Rinpoche did the Mongolian voiceover for a puppet show and was paid $360. He also received royalties whenever the show was at. It was very exciting for the teenager and a lot of money for an hour's work. So that was Rinpoche's brief foray into Hollywood. There is further articles on Rinpoche's blog that talks about other things that was not mentioned here, about being an extra in a movie. Let me see. Maybe it was mentioned. No, it's not. So anyway, Rinpoche, later on, this leads on to something else. Because Rinpoche later on developed a wish for his life's direction. He was thinking of whether he should be an actor in Hollywood or whether he should be a monk, which was his life passion since he was very, very young. So it was playing in his mind for a long time, and until he met his teacher. You see, Kechara his main teacher was Song Rinpoche. And Song Rinpoche was invited by Kechara to the center, and for about 6 months, he resided in Thupten Darjeeling, and Rinpoche was elected to be the attendant, the main attendant, and to serve Song Rinpoche, to cook, to clean, to assist. All right, so that was where Rinpoche met the guru that changed his life, basically. In Tibetan, we call Tsawai Lama or Root Guru. Root as in R-O-O-T, root. The main teacher, because for Rinpoche, he had many teachers later on especially. All of his teachers, Rinpoche have a special regard for, special respect, special devotion. But among all of them, the one main teacher that changed Rinpoche's life was Song Rinpoche. And all this culminate in a point where he actually went up to Song Rinpoche, sought audience, and he asked Song Rinpoche which direction he should pursue, an actor or a monk. So Song Rinpoche told him very simply that if you're going to be an actor, you'll be extremely successful. Because why Rinpoche wanted to be an actor is not so much as him wanting the fame or the money, because Rinpoche wasn't really interested in money. What Rinpoche wanted to do out of the fame and money was actually to be a sponsor of his teacher, a sponsor of his teacher's center. That was what Rinpoche had in mind, and to sponsor the Dharma. So Song Rinpoche told him, if you're going to be an actor, if you're going to, any work you do behind the camera, as in front of the camera, not a director, but as an actor, because the question was being to be an actor. So any work with regards to being in front of the camera, you'll be successful. You have the karma for it. But if you're going to be a monk, you will be very beneficial to a lot of people. So you pick, you choose. Song Rinpoche turned it around and I told him, you choose which direction in life you want to choose. Immediately, Rinpoche chose. He folded his hands and he said, I will be a monk. Think, if you were in that position, what would you have chosen? I know a lot of goody people, I will be a monk, or I'll be a nun, definitely. I'm just like Rinpoche, so holy. Are you sure? If you were in Hollywood, if you were given all the opportunities that Rinpoche had, what would you have chosen? Actually, a lot of us have somewhat similar situations, not so much as being an actor, better jobs, higher ranking jobs, business deals. What would you have chosen? Would all those be very attractive? Wouldn't it be? And then, but the thing is, for most of us, even being a monk or a nun or doing Dharma work, many of us, not even an equation, unfortunately. So I don't know how to, for a lot of people, We wonder, how do we going to do Dharma? How am I going to survive, if I do Dharma work? When there's a will, there's a way. So it's just a matter of whether you really want to and work towards it. So, I can't tell you, everybody do Dharma work, everybody become a monk or nun. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, when we want to pursue spirituality, it doesn't have to be Dharma work per se, it doesn't have to be being a monk or nun per se. And we meet some obstacles, we meet some challenges rather. How do we react? Do we try to find a way around it so that our Dharma work, our spiritual practice, progress? Or do we cave in and rather do secular, worldly things, where there is challenges as well? There's no Dharma, no secular job out there. There's no challenges, no obstacles. Impossible, there's none. So every job, especially if the more responsibility, the higher ranking, definitely the challenges and all will be much more. But the payout is different. The payout is in dollars and cents. The payout is in reputation, worldly reputation, that is. And so it's very different. So these are the things, this comes to mind when Rinpoche made the decision to be a monk. If I was in that position, what would I have done? I would probably be an actor, to be honest. No, I was just... So you see, this is how we look at Rinpoche's biography and we apply to ourselves. And it doesn't have to be, I have to be a monk or nun. I'm not talking about that particular scenario. It's about when we meet a challenge and to choose between whether we want to meet a challenge to progress on our spiritual practice, to progress, let's say if we're in Dharma work or we wish to pursue Dharma work, we encounter how are we going to survive if we do Dharma work. How do we begin? Let's say we want to do Dharma work, maybe not right now. We want to do Dharma work later. What are we going to do to prepare ourselves to start? Some people say, I want to do Dharma work. I'm waiting for the right circumstances. The right circumstances will never come. The perfect situation will never come. It will never. Because if we don't create the cause for it, we don't start something, sometimes you just have to start small. It will never come. So that's the thing Rinpoche used to say in his teachings, when you want everything to be perfect for us to do Dharma work, or when we retire, some people always think, when I retire, I'll do Dharma work. Very bad planning, because when we do Dharma work, only when we retire, then what happens is, when we do retire, we may not have the mental capacity, the health. Because when we are old, what can we do? What Dharma work can we do? There's only so much we can do. Not that if you're older, no offense, but if you're older or younger, it's not the question, it's not a problem or issue here. It's about wasted opportunity. Okay, when we waste our opportunity right now, when we could have done something, maybe not go into Dharma full time, we can give a little bit of our time to do something small, and then we work from there. You see? Because some of us, it's either totally secular or totally spiritual. We always have this view that either we go full force into monkhood, into the cave, into Dharma work, or we go full force into secular, which a lot of us are doing full force, our jobs, our businesses, our investments, our worldly life, our partners, our husbands and wives, our marriage, our family, full force, and nothing else. This is not recommended. This is not what Rinpoche recommends for us, because the truth is, we will be disappointed. The truth is, we will be hurt. We will be, we will encounter a lot of regrets later, because it will never turn out the way we imagine it to be. when we just full force into the secular, full force into our family, full force into worldly life. So instead of going one or another, instead of this kind of mentality, try to, what Rinpoche says is bring in Dharma. Even when we are in Dharma, we should not just Dharma work, it's also Dharma practice. Because even in Dharma, we can have this issue about where, I'm already doing Dharma work, I don't need to do my sadhana, I don't need to do retreats, I don't need to do offerings, I don't need to do Dharma practice. What's the point? I already doing Dharma work, huh? So that's the thing. Even when you're doing Dharma work, right? It's just work. Because we have this mentality where spiritual practice, formal spiritual practice like our sadhanas, our retreats, our offerings, our circumambulation, is not necessary because we're already there already. We're already enlightened already. There's a halo on our head. No? So that's the thing. Even when we do Dharma work, it's Dharma in us. Because when we know Dharma, when we have realized Dharma, the work doesn't automatically become Dharma. We have to have the Dharma attitude. And the Dharma attitude is fostered when we do formal spiritual practice. Okay, I have a comment here by Sharon Ong. Better to do Dharma work while we still have the health and ability than to wait for an ideal time, because there is no such thing as an ideal time in samsara. Very correct, very true. Like right now, like Rinpoche's book, if not now, when? Rinpoche's catchphrase for all of us as caught in city life, in secular life, in if not now, when? So this part of Rinpoche's life makes us, this decision that Rinpoche made, brings this teaching to mind. It's not so much as us being a monk or nun. I repeat myself, I'm sorry, so that I impress the point on you. It's not a matter of being a monk or nun, Dharma work or non-Dharma work. It's about how much we put our spiritual practice into practice. Or rather, how much Dharma we practice. Or whether we allow obstacles that prevent us from doing Dharma overcome us. And so we don't do Dharma, we rather do secular. So we shouldn't have this zero-sum, I think there's called a zero-sum attitude or mentality where it's one or the other. Don't do that. Don't have that kind of mentality. So Rinpoche made the decision. He folded his hands. He said immediately, he didn't have to think, if it's us, we have to think overnight, some of us, overnight, a few days, a week, a month, 6 months, 1 year, to make a decision whether we want to be a monk or nun or to become an actor, But ultimately, whatever decision, sometimes we do face a similar decision, not so much to being a monk or nun, maybe to do Dharma or non-Dharma, or to give up something in order to, to progress on our Dharma. Sometimes we need to give up certain things. When we need to, sometimes this would apply. So we shouldn't have that zero-sum mentality. We shouldn't think that it's a decision, a sacrifice that we have to make. We have to think. We have to focus on real Dharma, because it really depends on our merits. It really depends on our spiritual, it depends on our Dharma understanding. It depends on our merits. So if we have not done formal practice, as in the sadhanas and offerings, automatically Dharma work will be out of the question. Spirituality is difficult. It's difficult. We have 1,001 reasons, and when we do it, we're not happy. So it means that we haven't collected enough merits. We haven't realized the true meaning of Dharma, the true benefit of Dharma. So when we do Dharma work, when we're unhappy, or when we volunteer, we're unhappy, we don't like how some people treat us, how people say things to us, that shows that's similar to this. We have chosen to go, we have done Dharma work, but with a secular mentality. So when we have secular mentality, what happens is we have a lot of expectations of people. We have not applied the Dharma. We have not realized the Dharma. I mean, some of us probably know the Dharma, we know, Rinpoche has said this, like when you enter into a spiritual organization, don't expect everybody to be walking Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So everybody is just like you, they have their own issues. So when we have that understanding, then we're able to tolerate better and understand better. So, but if we don't have that realization, then we have the same secular mentality, because this is how we treat our colleagues at work. When people are not happy, we automatically, and they react towards us negatively, we automatically retaliate. And it's fine. It's accepted. It is, this is the real world. And they plot against us, there's office politics and so forth. So in the Dharma, people in the Dharma, people not in the Dharma. So what we try to do is we try to bring more Dharma into our lives. And just because we're doing Dharma work, which applies to many people in Kechara, just because we do Dharma doesn't mean Dharma is in our lives. It does not mean that. So we need to do learning. We need to listen to teachings. Although we may have listened to the teachings, similar teachings, many times over, but obviously we have not realized. So, and we need to learn new Dharma. We need to know the basic Dharma terms of karma, reincarnation, of how the mind operates, of how we deal with our negative emotions, especially how we deal with our negative emotions like anger, jealousy, frustration, depression. Not just, sometimes we don't just have the mental, just for myself to solve my issues. It can be also wonderful way to, wonderful teachings that will help to be tools. I say tools as in, tools to work on something. Tools to help us help other people. So because people, when we work in the Dharma, often people come up to us and ask us, we have this problem, what can we do? Sometimes we, as a pastor, I get that sometimes. Some of us, senior brothers, Dharma brothers and sisters also, we get the question sometimes, how do we handle certain difficult situation? Then when you have the Dharma, when you have learned the Dharma, then you're able to give advice based on the Dharma. So all this comes about because we made the decision. We made the decision to do Dharma, to overcome our obstacles, to overcome our problems. All of us will have obstacles because we haven't fully embraced Dharma in our minds and our attitudes yet. But we take it step by step. At least we take one step, another step, and we cut our attachments. We learn more Dharma, and having more Dharma, we cut more ignorance. We calm our mind down, we apply the methods on ourselves, then we're able to advise people. Especially when we are in long time in the Dharma. If we are, let's say, 3 years or more, our advice to people should not be secular anymore. We should put in Dharma into our advice to people. Don't give secular advice anymore. Don't just think about, it's about jobs. Think about your job, think about yourself. Don't give that kind of advice. Because I hear sometimes some Dharma people who've been many years in the Dharma, and when they give advice, it's very secular. And I know it depends on the person who's going to hear it and how much they can accept the Dharma. So that's where skillfulness come in. And how we have embraced the Dharma and incorporated it in will be how skillful it is that we, even when we give secular advice, there's Dharma slipped in. Okay? So it's a matter of how much we practice. So when we have practiced the Dharma, we have incorporated the Dharma into our lives. Then even our secular advice, there will be Dharma in it. Okay, I know that not everybody can do that, I understand. But most important is we have to practice the Dharma. We have to learn the Dharma so that we can practice. And we have to collect the merit, so we have to do formal practice. Formal practice means what? We have to go circumambulation. If you're working Kechara Forest Retreat, wonderful places you can circumambulate. Otherwise, at home, I don't know about your altars and all. I don't know, you can circumambulate altar. If you cannot, then you can come to Kechara Forest Retreat. Formal practice is about your sadhanas, about the offerings that you make, about the donations that you give. Okay, when I say donations, it doesn't mean huge sums of money. We donate according to our means, of course. And offerings on our altar, offerings to our Lama, offerings to the organization. Again, it is to our means, and it doesn't have to be in monetary terms. It could be our time, it could be our service, it could be our support, it could be our, even right now, listening to this talk, you're supporting, you're donating your time, you're donating your support to the organization. It's not Pastor David, it's not about me. It's about the organization. It's about Kechara. It's about your growth in the Dharma. And also, always when just because I'm speaking, I'm sharing with you about Rinpoche's life, about the Dharma, doesn't mean it's not, that it's about more than that. It could. What I'm trying to say is, me teaching the Dharma is what Kechara is about. So when you join in, you encourage people to join in. It's a support of the organization. All right? So I kind of digress. My apologies. Sometimes I do. And sometimes, don't worry, I will come back to the point. So the point was, Rinpoche made a decision. He folded his hands. He said, I will be a monk. You see, Rinpoche made a promise, and he fulfilled it. A lot of us, when we make promises, especially of a spiritual nature, of that kind of magnitude of, I don't know, whatever promise we make, do we fulfill our promises? That's the thing. That's the other thing, especially of spiritual nature. So it's very important. I would urge everybody who have made promises in the past, myself included, especially of a spiritual nature, to do perhaps. You see, a promise doesn't necessarily mean that Rinpoche asks you whether you're going to do this, and then you agreed. A promise comes in the form of Rinpoche give you instructions. Maybe you are to do this retreat. You are to do this sadhana. So when you listened and you listened and then you say yes, and it's already a promise. Sometimes we don't even have to say yes. You just we accept it in our minds without saying anything. It's a promise. So we have promised our teachers to do whatever instructions Rinpoche has given us. We should try to fulfill it to the best of our abilities. And especially right now when Rinpoche is not around, how do we fulfill that? Rinpoche doesn't have to be around to fulfill our spiritual promises, our spiritual commitments. It's a commitment. It's a sadhana, our practices, is a commitment to our Lama. And sometimes Rinpoche does not need to tell you, oh, you have a sadhana to do, you need to do a sadhana. Maybe Rinpoche has not told you to do a sadhana, and you think, oh, sometimes I feel like it, I'll do it, sometimes I don't feel like it, I don't do law. Rinpoche has never told me to do, don't need to do lah. No, we shouldn't take our spiritual practice that way. So if we have committed, if we want to receive the benefits, the full benefits of the Dharma, then we have to take it like a promise. Why I say we have to take it as a promise? Because there are days we really, really feel like we don't want to do don't want to fulfill. Like for me, it's the sadhana. There are some days I'm so tired. That's why I do it in the morning, by the way. I do my sadhana in the morning, so that because most of the time people do their sadhanas at the end of the day. I used to do that. So usually when I do at the end of the day, I'm fishing with my head. I'm like doing my sadhana and I'm falling asleep. So I think and initially, I fulfill, I finished my sadhana by fishing, and I think, I fulfill my commitment. So in the long run, I was thinking, that's not going to work, That's what's the point? I do all that, fishing my head, and then barely paying attention to what I'm praying, barely have any focus, barely have any form of meditation. The only meditation I did was sleep, partial sleep, full sleep, punctuated with many moments of micro sleeps. It's a micro sleep. Micro sleep is when you fall asleep for a split second, few seconds lah. That's a micro sleep. When you're very, very tired, it happens. Even when you force yourself with coffee and all that, it happens because you're so tired. So what happened is, I don't like that. So I realized that in the end for me I rather not do it. At that time, I changed my timing. I did it in the morning because I want to experience the full benefit of my sadhanas. So I do it in the morning. So that is my experience. It's up to you. Maybe for people who have who usually have a day that is maybe towards the end of the day, they're still fresh, they can still do their sadhanas without falling asleep, without feeling sleepy, without feeling bored, then go ahead, all the power to you. But for me, what works is in the morning. So, anyway, Wei Ting says this. Indeed, Rinpoche asks us to do our sadhana daily consistently. Whether short or long is okay, but need to be consistent. That's right. A sadhana is the definition of a sadhana is a daily practice. Daily means every single day. Okay, so for new people, I think I mentioned it the last time or previous session, one of the sessions I cannot remember. I've given advice in a sense that when you're very new, you're excited. Everything is so exotic, all the mantras, all the deities, so you want to do a lot. You want to do 10 malas of Miksema, 10 malas or 20 malas of DS, 3 malas of Manjushri, 10 malas of Tara, whatever. We become over ambitious. And we take like 3-4 hours a day to do our sadhana. That's a very bad thing to do because you know why? We can get burnout. For a new person, we can get burnout and then we give it up. So when we give it up, it's very bad. So might as well don't be so ambitious. Do something that is more, what is the word already? Sustainable. That means we can sustain it for the long haul, for long period, extended period, meaning daily, every single day. So do something that is, that is more sustainable. All right. Anyway, so this is this part of the story. This is what comes to mind. I thought to elaborate it and to. You see, Rinpoche is also a young man at this point. And this is Los Angeles. This is Hollywood. This is the place where the most happening place in all of America. So Rinpoche, a young man with happening clothes, donated by his friend, of course, and also Rinpoche went out, meet a lot of people, went clubbing. Some of us are into clubbing at that age. I was too. I even had the good fortune to go clubbing with Rinpoche twice. Yeah, Rinpoche. I don't know. That time Rinpoche wanted to go along with me, so I was like, why not? I have no idea about about protocol and all that. So I went with Rinpoche, and Rinpoche, I went with Rinpoche clubbing, and I think what Rinpoche was doing was he was trying to observe how I was in a club and my lifestyle, what I'm about. So that was my experience. It's got nothing to do with this. But Rinpoche went clubbing as well on his own when he was young. And he lived that life. And Rinpoche tells a very interesting story because he said that there was a time where especially when Song Rinpoche was around, he did retreats. And he had to fulfill his retreat commitments and his sadhana basically. So what happened was there was a time where he actually went clubbing, came back, do his sadhana, finish it, then went continue on clubbing. So that was interesting. And when I went clubbing, I don't remember whether I did sadhana that time. No, I was too new. I didn't have a sadhana. Later on only I did a sadhana. So, but I thought it was interesting because, imagine if we were young and then we had to do our practice and still go out clubbing, drinking, whatever. For us, we'll be drinking. Rinpoche does not drink. When I went clubbing, Rinpoche did not drink. Rinpoche told me he was allergic to alcohol. So he never drank, even when he was in America. And so what happened is, even at the height of Rinpoche's youth, Rinpoche had that kind of discipline where he would still, whatever he had promised, like a retreat, like a sadhana, he will fulfill it. That kind of discipline. If it was us, would we have that similar discipline? And even right now, when we know so much Dharma already, do we have that kind of discipline? Do we have that kind of commitment to fulfill all our spiritual promises, to fulfill what we have promised our Lama, to fulfill the instructions that Rinpoche have given? Even the instructions that Rinpoche gave, as I explained earlier, is a promise, is a samaya, a bound, a commitment with our teacher, which is the same as if we have made the promise. So, even now, do we have that kind of commitment like Rinpoche does? And that is why Rinpoche is Rinpoche and we are we, and that also answers why we have our practice. We only have received partial blessings or sometimes very little blessings, and why our obstacles are still there, why we find we cannot change, why we encounter difficulties in our practice and in life in general. Because when we have embraced everything, when we've done our retreats, our commitments, everything, there'll be no obstacles. Because if we have embraced the Dharma, even obstacles become a perfect time to practice the Dharma. Becomes Dharma practice. But at the moment, we struggle to even have that kind of view. Yeah, to have that kind of view that obstacles is an opportunity to practice. I mean, I'm speaking not just for, I'm not saying you, I'm also saying myself. When the person sharing the Dharma is not so much as, you all, and I'm like above it, we are the same level. Just that I have the label of a pastor and I have a bit more experience than you within the Dharma and more time spent with Rinpoche. So now it's my time to give back, and I share with you what I've learned from Rinpoche, the years of being with Rinpoche. And as the teaching goes for you and also for me, because we're all still practicing, we're all still infants in the Dharma. So for me, it's a reminder. For you, it's something to learn and be inspired, especially when you read about Rinpoche. And it's very important. Inspiration is very important. Inspiration is just another word for a blessing. A blessing of Rinpoche's life, of his experience, and how we turn that blessing into our own practice. Meaning we're inspired to do something similar. Maybe we're not giving up to be a monk or a nun, our secular life. Maybe it's more of adding more Dharma into our lives. Dharma learning, Dharma practice, Dharma activities, interacting more with Dharma friends, spiritual friends. Okay? This is from Yin Ping. Whether we are doing secular or Dharma work, there are obstacles and sufferings for sure. Make a wise choice so that we can create values which are beneficial to others. Yeah. We have Doji Shukden, a powerful Dharma protector. We still have obstacles. But a lot of our bigger obstacles that are beyond our control, like sometimes money, sometimes resources, can be alleviated. And it has been alleviated. We have Kechara Forest Retreat. It's from Rinpoche and also Dorje Shugden. Okay, so this shows to you that even in the Dharma we have obstacles, even in the Dharma, but they can be overcome, even when we practice the Dharma. Because a lot of people think that, I practice the Dharma means that, that I will have more obstacles, or I have this kind of obstacle which I cannot overcome. You can, especially with Dorje Shugden. He's very powerful in overcoming, helping you overcome. You have to do your part. He will do his part. That's what Dorje Shugden always tell practitioners. So we have to practice. We have to practice the Dharma. We have to do Dharma work. We have to create the right causes for what we wish to achieve in the Dharma, and then he will do his part. And also for people who have obstacles in their secular life, and they want Dorje Shugden to help them, and they have some have medium obstacles, some have huge obstacles. They wish Dorje Shugden's help and assistance. Okay, just remember this: Dorje Shugden is a Dharma protector, so he protects your Dharma practice. So if you want his assistance, you have to do some Dharma. You have to do some Dharma practice, Dharma work. Something Dharma. So if you don't do any Dharma and you want Dorje Shugden's help, it will be very difficult, because not that Dorje Shugden is not wanting to help you, is being biased just because you're not doing Dharma. No, it's not. It's that what's happening is Dorje Shugden needs the cause that you are creating. So sometimes the cause can be created just as simply as doing his practice, doing his mantra, doing his pujas. And he is one of the most effective for overcoming obstacles. Okay, so I've given you a secret, which is do your Dharma, fulfill your commitments. Sometimes our obstacles and our commitments are totally different, totally not related. All right? So, but when you do it, when you fulfill your commitments, you will find that, this is my personal experience, you will find your obstacles get overcome easily when you do Dharma. This is incredible ability of Dorje Shugden, his incredible power to overcome obstacles. When you just do Dharma, all you have to do is just do Dharma, learn Dharma, put into practice, do his retreats perhaps. Just so simple. Sorry, my volume is perhaps not very high, because sometimes I just need to express it in a certain way. I'm sure you can hear me, right? I don't see anybody have any issues about the volume. So I reached to the end. If you have any questions, please ask me now regarding this or anything Dharma about Rinpoche, and please share. Don't you like this new location? So now I think people don't have an issue about the echo, right? Because I remember Sharon said earlier in the session saying that the audio is good this time. And I just received this interesting email. I wish to read it out to you. Oh, I have 4% of battery on my laptop. Okay. Okay. This is from Sheal, Sheal, Bakwandin. I think he's of South Asia, which is India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, probably somewhere there, or Pakistan, wherever it is. He's residing in Canada. Hello, Pastor Lai. I sent an email to 2 accounts inquiring about Rinpoche's memorial stupas. I found your talk about the book written about Rinpoche very inspirational on his Facebook account. Your talk about us losing Rinpoche and the loss we may be feeling, like me, was helpful. Thank you. There is this feeling of emptiness for the loss of a great teacher who was so impactful to my life. I'm quite grateful that I was able to hear the Dharma talks from Rinpoche with such clarity. He was so inspiring to watch on YouTube, as he had such devotion to the Dharma, its practice, and his teachers. I know that I'm across the other side of the world, Canada, but I would like to, if possible, be included in a volunteer capacity from where I live to help with anything to be prepared for the project to honor Rinpoche. I like how KH is very welcoming to outsiders and the accessibility of information, videos, and practitioners. Rinpoche is so lucky to have such devotional students like yourself continuing his work. Thank you for that, as people like myself could have access to develop our practice and help others. I've copied the message I sent yesterday below. Looking forward to hearing from you. Tashi Delek Shio, S-H-E. I don't know if I pronounced his name correctly. Shio. So anyway, I thought I'd read it out to you, especially to the Kecharians who are listening in. This is dedicated to all of you. It's not just me. It's to all of you who are around, who have devotion to Rinpoche, who are maintaining Kechara, volunteering Kechara, coming for class, although right now it's a virtual one, joining to pujas, donated your time, donated your money. This is dedicated because this is like Rinpoche, whenever there's messages like that, Rinpoche always share with people to inspire people because, we make an impact. As a whole, we are making an impact on other people's lives. Okay, so I thought I'd share that with you. So let's see if there's any locations. Good. Thank you, Mr. Lam. So I guess there's no more questions. I will do dedication and then we'll end because we're going to have another session of virtual Spiritual Saturday with Hua Ying. She's going to cook chili oil noodles. All right. Thank you very much. Jeju Central Rinpoche, Maki Panagi Yushe, Keba Yama Mi Payang, Kone Koto Pawasho, Tony Tonga Rinpoche, Maki Panagi Yushe, Keba Yama Mi Payang, Kone Koto Pawasho, Dazo Jine Sapaki Wadi, Tanandua Kunlanka Pada, Jeba Jozo Lozon Drapa, Tamping Kurento, Sa She Sho, Kewa Kunto Yanda Lamata, Jemi Joki Palon Choche, Sadalangi Onderachuni, Doji Changi Kopa Yutosho, Kewadi Yutrota, Lama Sangi Shuni, Chua Chika Malupa, De Salagobajo, Chujabo Songaba, Chosonamo Pewala, Gigi Shamaji Wadan, Tony Malushansho, Dada Shenki Dusundan, Jewish Latini, Gawolo Sandrapa, Tamparin Fagush, Nimo della Santale, Neme Goyan della Shin, Yasantatu della Pel, Conjuso Junkulo, Conjuso in Mojoso, Conjuso Tashi, Chazunama Kuso Raptonche, Nankachi Kepadan, Los Antami Join Samsung, Dromaso Tato Negus, Gangri Rave, Koa Shinkam, Pendant Dava Malukyon, Chenres and 1,000 Gasoy, Sharpie City Badu Dan Gush, Hong Tombing Odru Malupa, Dende Dalla Soduso, Golden Temple Lochana, Geba Soji, Shukte and Sell. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next session. Thank you.